If there's one thing about the Assassin's Creed games that nobody can deny, is they contain a lot of locations. Whether it's whole regions, landmarks, buildings, you name it. There's just a lot of explorable locations in this franchise. However, in this video, I won't be focusing on the main locations like Paris, Egypt or the Caribbean. That's been done far too often. So I've put together a list of locations that I personally find to be quite stunning in Assassin's Creed, and I'll be talking about them in this video. Leave a comment below if there's a certain location that you would put into this video. If you haven't seen my other video where I go over a lot of other nice looking areas and locations, check that out after this video, not before, because it, messes with the algorithm and whatnot. Anyway, if you do enjoy this video, do consider hitting that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get into the most stunning locations in Assassin's Creed. Let's start off with perhaps one of the most visually appealing locations in Assassin's Creed Odyssey hands down, and that's Elysium, aka the Afterlife for Champions. Now, the Fate of Atlantis is a DLC that I found to be not that bad, and each of the three locations, whether it was Elysium, the Underworld or Atlantis, are all unique in their own way. I'll talk more about Atlantis later in the video, but when it comes to Elysium, it's just a stunning location to explore. The designers did a great job nailing the atmosphere of this location, as it is created to pretty much give off that feeling where, as stunning as it is, there's a sense of something is not right here, and that's what elevates it for me. The elephant in the room here is the majestic waterfalls that encompass the entire realm. Throughout exploring this place, you'll see vibrant golden fields, lush green hills, and a very bright and blue location overall. It's a location in this game that separates the base game from the DLC, as it's not an ordinary location such as ancient Greece, but rather a mythological realm entirely. Elysium here gives you a moment of peace in an otherwise chaotic world. It's a place that invites you to slow down, take in the sights, and just appreciate the sheer beauty of what Assassin's Creed Odyssey is capable of being. Yes, it's not a traditional Assassin's Creed game as a lot of people would say, but putting that aside, it's definitely a nice looking one. Now, as much as it's a visually appealing location to look at, let's be honest and say the traversal aspect of Elysium is a pain in the ass, as a lot of it is on mountaintops or across the large expanse of the land. I'd say my personal favourite area of Elysium to explore and be in is Persephone's area. And that's because, to me, her area feels a lot more lively than any other locations in this realm, and it's kind of a little mini village that's full of life and NPCs. Even the view of Elysium from here, it's probably the best looking view you can get in this DLC, if I'm being honest. Also, you can tell the realm belongs to Persephone judging by the massive statue in the middle of the waterfall overlooking the realm. So yeah, we're starting off this video with a bang, and that's Elysium. Now let's shift gears and discuss a location in Assassin's Creed that may not be traditionally beautiful or visually stunning, but its backstory and interesting lore make it truly remarkable, so I have to feature it in this video, and that location is the Kenway Mansion in Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now surprisingly, I was kind of shocked that not many people know of this location, even though a story mission in Syndicate takes place here. Now if you don't know, the Kenway Mansion, as evident by its name, is a mansion in London that once belonged to Edward Kenway, a character we all know and love. Now, while we don't get to experience Edward Kenway's life in this house directly, just knowing that this legendary pirate turned assassin once called it home is pretty cool to know in the back of your head. What makes it even better is the house is filled with mementos and artifacts from Edward's life. For example, there's a miniature model of the Jackdaw, the iconic ship we took over in Black Flag, though sadly it met its end, and we can actually find the wreck of the Jackdaw in Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. Strangely enough, I'm pretty sure there's also a model of the Morrigan from Assassin's Creed Rogue, which is a bit of a mystery as to why it's even there. But the nostalgia of seeing all the past relics doesn't stop there. You can find the pistols that Wood Rogers gave to Edward in Black Flag, the crystal cube that Edward once possessed, and even Blackbeard's hat, which I guess is resting on the table. There's also a map of the Caribbean, and my personal favourite, hidden beneath the mansion to a secret entrance, you can find the real helm from the Jackdaw itself. It's pretty cool to see all of these relics from Edward's pirate days preserved in his mansion. If anything, this mansion really does have a lot of details from Black Flag and the Caribbean, and it's all tucked away in this Victorian London house. But here's the annoying part about the Kenway Mansion in Syndicate. You can only access the area beneath the mansion during the story missions. As far as I know, after the game is over, you cannot revisit that secret area anymore. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments below. But either way, it's a memorable and nostalgic experience for those that like Edward Kenway. Moving on, let's take a trip to Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, the cities in Assassin's Creed Origins are quite distinctive, or at least that's what I think. For example, you can easily tell that Alexandria is a lot more of a structured city compared to somewhere like Siwa or Memphis. But there's one city in Assassin's Creed Origins that is a complete shift in character compared to every other city and town in this game, and that is the city of Cyrene. Now Cyrene was an ancient Greek city located in what is now modern-day Libya, nestled in a fertile valley within the Green Mountains. This city was kind of a surprise when I first discovered it because of how hidden away it was. In fact, it's located in the top left of your map, almost like it's a location that doesn't want to be found. Now instantly when you travel to this city in the game, you'll feel like you're somehow playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey with how familiar everything looks from that game. Whether it's the Greek Acropolis, the Colloseum, the amphitheater, architecture of the streets, the bathhouses, and even the buildings. It's very reminiscent of AC Odyssey, and that's really what I like about it. There is quite literally no trace of Egyptian architecture, making it the only city in this game without it. As I said, the one great thing about Assassin's Creed Origins is how distinctive each city is. So when you take out Senu and fly over the city looking down at it, you'll notice how out of place it seems. Also, if you head north, there's even a port here that's very Roman-like. Now, I mentioned the Gladiator Arena or the Colosseum, and if I'm being honest, I genuinely think that this Colosseum in Assassin's Creed Origins may perhaps be the best looking one in the entire franchise, as there are a few that are in contention. The main one being of course Brotherhood, but I think this one takes the cake. Everything in Cyrene just exudes luxury and wealth, and you can sense that too, just by seeing all the marble and stone buildings, with how they're not rundown huts or houses, but instead well detailed and well designed buildings. Also, the fact that you can see the Alexandria lighthouse from all the way back here is pretty cool to me. Let's stay on Assassin's Creed Origins for this one also, and talk about one of the locations in the game that's not in ancient Egypt, but instead it's a mythological realm entirely, and that location is Aaru. Now Aaru, also known as the Field of Reeds, was a heavenly paradise in the Egyptian afterlife. It represented the final blissful destination for souls who successfully completed their journey to the Duat, where they could enjoy eternal peace and happiness, and just by looking at this location in the game, it certainly does seem that way. Now when you first arrive in Aaru, you're going to instantly think, what on earth is happening here? Because so much is going on. First off, the sky is unusual, as the sun appears to be blocked by a planet or a moon. I'm not too sure. There's giant scorpions walking around the place, literal ships moving through the land, as if they're moving on water, and even fields that are endless. It goes as far as your eye can see, which is what makes this location so unique. In a way, if you think about it, it's similar to Elysium, with how both locations are locations that are considered the afterlife. There's also statues of who I believe is Nefertiti, as far as the eye can see. Now this location in Assassin's Creed Origins is not the only mythological realm I'll be talking about in this video, as there are other areas in the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC that are as stunning or even more stunning than this one. So yeah, Aaru is definitely unusual, and that's what makes it so unique. Okay, now this location in the video is perhaps the most underrated one by far. In fact, it's so underrated that you might not even recognize what I'm talking about, and that's the town, the region, or the city of Amienois from the Siege of Paris DLC in Valhalla. Now sure, I probably butchered that pronunciation, but hey, I don't really care. Now in the 9th century, this location was known for the ancestral homeland of Odo of France's family, and was renowned for its vibrant textiles. The region was even reportedly a favourite of Charles the Fat, the main antagonist in the Siege of Paris DLC. In fact, I think a major story mission happens here during the DLC. The main highlight here is a massive mansion, just watching over the rest of the city. It's a bit annoying that you cannot enter the building during free roam, but just by looking at it from the outside and its surroundings, you can tell it once belonged to a wealthy person, with the way the red carpet is laid out, almost reminding me a lot of the Palace of Versailles. And yes, I pronounced Versailles wrong in my last video and got flamed for it. There are 2 statues of lions watching over the building with a beautiful fountain plopped in the middle, all of which is heavily guarded by soldiers. You know, this location also has the ruins of a Roman amphitheater here, which is also so random, but I'm all for it. You know, there's really only a few cities or towns in Valhalla that I can say are pretty stunning, and this one is definitely up there. It's more of a cozy town because of how small it is, and also how many NPCs walk around the place. So yeah, the town or region or city or wherever it is of Amienois from the Siege of Paris in Valhalla is a location that is, as I said, very underrated. When I talked about Elysium earlier in the video, I did mention that Atlantis is another location that deserves its own spotlight in this video. So here's a question for you. Which realm do you prefer purely based on appearance and visual beauty? So not storyline or characters. Elysium or Atlantis? For me, Elysium edges out slightly, but it's a close call. Anyway, Atlantis is the 3rd realm we go to in the Fate of Atlantis DLC, and it's a realm that simply embodies beauty wherever you look. This realm has fascinated many people for centuries, and I'm talking about real life mythology, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey does a great job of bringing this mythical place to life. In the game, Atlantis is portrayed as an advanced utopian civilization created by the ezio. One issue I had with Odyssey is the NPCs in the base game all look the same, but you know, I found this DLC, and more specifically Atlantis, to have a more diverse range of NPCs. The realm itself is stunning, with each section uniquely separated, which I find to be a nice touch. In Elysium, I mentioned that the vertical climbing made traversal a bit of a pain in the ass, but Atlantis offers a different experience. The paths are well defined and easy to navigate, making exploring this realm a lot more enjoyable. Unlike the Greek architecture and traditional Acropolis settings in the base game, Atlantis is distinctly EC focused, as it should be, given its origins. However, one aspect I wasn't too fond of was the wings of Hermes beams that are constantly in your face. While they do serve a purpose of, travelling up and down, they can be a bit annoying to look at when you're trying to take in the breathtaking scenery, and unfortunately, there's no way to turn them off. So when trying to take in the view, you'll just see big white beams in your face. So yeah, Atlantis is a stunning location. If you ask me to describe what an EC world would look like, I'd point to this. It captures the essence of an advanced otherworldly civilization, making it a pretty stunning location to feature in this video. This certain location being featured in this video might seem strange at first glance, but when you actually go to this location and take in how stunning the area is, you'd realize that it makes sense to be in this video. Now, I genuinely don't know how to pronounce this location. I don't know if it's Lalalai, but regardless, I'll refer to it as La Land, even though that's not what it is. Now, when you think of inner peace and a moment of blissfulness, this to me is the exact location that comes to mind. Instantly, you'll notice how rich with plants, trees and colors it is. Trust me, you'll see red, blue, green, yellow, pink, purple, you name it. Any color will be seen in this little village. Even the lore behind the village is pretty fascinating, as it's said that the village is named after the nymph, who I won't even attempt to pronounce, so Lalalai, who is the daughter of the river god Capisos. The village was established near a spring that she was believed to protect. In fact, one of the rivers that flowed from this spring ran through the heart of the city, and you can clearly see the rivers flowing from the peak of the mountain and falling into the streams to all flow into this tiny little village. Also, shout out to the creator of this village in the game. She described it as they wanted to create this little part of dream hidden in the mountains, a moment of peace in a war setting, a magical place living in harmony with nature, and she's not wrong. This location is exactly that. The ambience and soundtrack that play here is also what elevates it, as you'll often hear people playing melodic instruments perfectly fitting in with such a location. Let's take a little detour away from the more recent games and go to a game that's not as recent, I guess, and that's Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Now, the location I've chosen is Buckingham Palace. The reason I put this in the video is not just because of the actual building itself, although that is the main attraction here, but also the surrounding areas, and it all adds up to make this location an overall stunning one. First of all, there's the road to getting here, where it's just one massive straight road, definitely designed just for this one location. There's also the back gardens of Buckingham Palace, where it's almost as big as a park, with trees and greenery. There's also the red carpet leading from the outside to the inside. Now sure, the interior of buildings in Syndicate might not be as impressive as Unity, even though Unity came out before, which is a bit silly. But it's still impressive nonetheless. One thing that did shock me about this place in the game is how big it is, because apart from the long road getting there, the back garden and also the front courtyard, the inside has pretty big, spacious and well detailed rooms, full of paintings, statues and intricate details all over. If you played the Dreadful Crimes DLC, then you'd know that some of these locked doors can be accessed in that DLC, and there is a lot more to explore. Now, just to give you an idea of how massive Buckingham Palace is in real life, it contains 775 rooms, featuring 188 staff bedrooms, 92 offices, 78 bathrooms, 52 main bedrooms, and 19 staterooms. And that's not all. The palace also houses a literal post office, a cinema, a swimming pool, a doctor's surgery, and even a jeweler's workshop, among many other facilities I might not have mentioned. So it does make sense that the game had to scale down the size of Buckingham Palace significantly, because recreating the exact building in its entirety would have been nearly impossible. Earlier in the video, I talked about Cyrene in Assassin's Creed Origins, and how I personally think that the Cyrene Colloseum is a contender for the best Colosseum in the entire Assassin's Creed series. The one that is competing with is the main one in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, aka the Roman Colosseum. Now, this Colosseum stands as one of Rome's most iconic landmarks. It housed one of the layers of Romulus and served as a site where Clay Kaczmarek inscribed a rift. Of course, during Ezio's time in Rome, the Colosseum is in a state of disrepair thanks to the Borgias. Now, I love the attention to detail in recreating this iconic structure. Every crack in the stone, every weathered column, it tells the story of its former glory and the passage of time to show you the progression of what it's become. It's definitely a much larger Colosseum compared to the one in Cyrene, so size is a pretty big factor here too. Climbing to the top of the Colosseum can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's definitely worth it once you're at the top, because you get a view of the entirety of Rome from up here. Now, although Brotherhood setting is not a personal favourite of mine, as hot take, I find Rome in this game very ugly. The Colosseum is the one shining light, even though it's pretty run down, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's no secret by now that Assassin's Creed Unity has the most detailed interior decor in the entire franchise, and by far. In fact, I don't think we'll ever see Ubisoft put that same level of effort into the interior of their future games, which is a bit of a shame considering Unity came out 10 years ago. Anyway, the location I've chosen for this video is St. Chapelle. Now this building is a royal and medieval kind of gothic chapel located in the center of Paris. In Assassin's Creed Unity, it serves as the front for the assassins, with their headquarters hidden beneath it. The moment you enter the building and look around, you'll instantly notice how magnificent the stained glass windows are, and also the towering ceilings. In fact, it's so detailed to the point where it looks kind of confusing in a way. Maybe that's me, but when I just look around here, I don't really know what's going on, as there is simply too much going on. Even the real life St. Chapelle seems almost unreal. I imagine if I ever visit Paris and see it in person, those giant windows would be so mind-bending that it might feel like I'm on drugs. The actual history of St. Chapelle is very unique, due to its origin as a royal chapel, built in the 13th century by King Louis IX to house his collections of Christian relics, including the Crown of Thorns. It's pretty impressive how Ubisoft found a way to seamlessly integrate this building into the lore of the French assassins. The second location in this video that also comes from Assassin's Creed Origins Curse of the Pharaohs DLC is the realm of Aten. Now Aten was a unique aspect of the Egyptian afterlife, exclusively for those who embrace Akhenaten's monotheistic worship of the Aten. It manifested as the ancient city of Amarna, which was the short-lived capital of Egypt during Akhenaten's reign, depicted at its peak. The moment you instantly enter the realm, the first thing you'll notice is the massive sun disk in the sky, which takes up pretty much most of your view, with its rays extending downwards. That's one thing Assassin's Creed Origins did well with these afterlife realms. It's the unusual and strange occurrences within the realm. In Aaru, we saw endless fields and boats gliding on the ground, and in Aten, it's the sun disk covering half the sky which stands out. The level of detail in the environment is also amazing, with its temples, vibrant landscapes, and the impressive architecture of Amarna all blending together to create a place that feels truly divine and majestic. Even the atmosphere. As cliche as this sounds, it does give you that same feeling of deep devotion that Akhenaten and his followers had for Aten. I will say maybe this realm could have been slightly bigger as it is pretty small, but for the size of what it is, it truly does contain quite a lot to look at, whether it's the amount of NPCs, the color palette and the story, which by the way is pretty impressive in this DLC. I will say the only negative thing about this realm is trying to show it off for the video, because it's not a friendly place. I mean, just look at how many enemies I had to run from. Also, shout out to these 3 scorpions chilling in this area doing absolutely nothing. Now the last location to be talked about in this video is completely different compared to the previous locations I've talked about, and that is Lisbon from Assassin's Creed Rogue. The reason I say it's completely different is because it's a location that we're not able to freely explore compared to the rest of the locations in this video. It's more so potential that could have been. Now sure, I get it, the point of Lisbon in Assassin's Creed Rogue is to show off the destruction that happened there, but wouldn't it be pretty cool if there was a moment where we could freely explore the region? I'm referring to pre-earthquake by the way, totally not after. Now, if any of you watched my cut content video, there was a segment in that video where the developers did intend to have Shay spend a lot more time here before the earthquake, but because of time constraints, this was not possible. So that is pretty sad to hear. We could have had an explorable Lisbon. You know, for the 10 minutes or so of being here, the developers sure did add a lot of detail, especially considering we don't see most of it because we're escaping from the devastation behind us. Now, this could just be me, but was the ambience of Lisbon in Assassin's Creed Rogue pretty eerie, almost like the game was foreshadowing the impending danger that was about to happen. You know, it's just hitting me now. Imagine they did not run out of time with Rogue. That game could have been so much better than what it was. But hey, I guess the past is the past. So there you have it. Those are a few, well I say a few, but I think I talked about 12 or maybe 13 locations that I would consider to be stunning. If you haven't watched my other video where I cover more stunning locations, be sure to check it out as well. Some places you may be wondering why I did not feature here in this video are definitely featured in that other video. Anyways, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.